Hey, Mythic Crew. Welcome back to Grease and Gasoline, the podcast where we rev up your passion for cars and take you on a ride through the fascinating world of automobile. I'm Seth, your host, your guide, your fellow car enthusiast. Whether you're a seasoned mechanic, a weekend warrior, or someone who just loves the thrill of the open road, this is the podcast for you. Today, we're going to take it easy and dive into some of the most entertaining, memorable road trip stories that I have. I'm going to share my own stories and tell the unique experiences that come from hitting the open road and explore the vibrant culture that connects us all. So, let's talk about some fun, laughs, and the love of cars. Just a brief recap of the first episode was an intro to me and an intro to how I got into cars and my experiences with my friends and family that started it all. On another note, we have some personal updates. I have been working on my 2007 Porsche Cayman S. We have the engine almost taken apart. If this Arizona heat isn't going to cook me alive in that garage, finish that this weekend, and we'll see what's going on in there. If there's some bore scorn, I've been posting a lot more on YouTube. Just finished a video about my 350Z that I had that I painted, my drift car. So, yeah. Let's get into the main body of this episode, though, which is going to be talking about some road trip stories. So, I would say that one of my biggest road trip stories was when I turned 18. I decided to move to Arizona, which I'm actually back in Arizona now. That was somewhere that I moved to when I was young because my mom was here, and I decided to come down this way and give it a try, check it out. So, after rebuilding my best friend's engine on his MR2, decided that me and my 300ZX and him and his MR2, we should move across the country. So we said, all right, let's do it. And in a split decision, we actually packed up our two little sports cars and we started driving across the country itself with anything that we could fit in the car. So just a couple of suitcases and not much on our backs. A little bit of money saved, but we figured it was the road trip for us. We were going to hit Route 66 and just take it all the way across. We could have a slow adventure where we just take a look at the countryside and explore to see more states and get a feel for our cars, because all we liked to do back then was drive up and down, back and forth. So I remember the day that we were going to leave. We hopped in our cars, and it was just this like enlightenment of freedom and being young. And I look back now and it's just one of these like huge moments that changed, that it's like a dream that not most people get to live or get to experience. So me and my buddy Alex, we just start driving down the interstate in Minnesota, heading our way. We made plans to stay at his family's in Oklahoma. That was halfway down, or about halfway in our journey. I remember one of our funniest moments was that we start rolling down the highway and we get to a Walmart and we pick up everything from an oil change, including the oil change kit. I bought some popcorn chicken from the little deli there, and then we made this whole thing, chicken and oil change. And we backed his car up onto the curb because it's mid-engine, and I laid underneath it, and I put that one of those oil drain buckets underneath of there, and I just did the oil change in the parking lot right off the curb there, and it was pretty funny. We were all laughing about it at the time, and then we just kept going because that was the break-in of his engine actually. So I had put a lot of trust in myself and my abilities at the engine shop that I was working at the time, and that car ran great, and I was super happy with it. Looking back on it, it's something that you maybe could have taken for granted, but it was such a gift that we had the opportunity to take such an adventure, and that we had that kind of connection as friends, and just we decided to do something so crazy. It was really young of us. I remember at the time it was always, what are we doing today? Not, are we doing something today? Which kind of fades when you get a little older, but still, we loved cars more than anything, and I think we still do. In fact, I know we still do. It's just always been a part of our lives. And me and all of my friends, I think that it's just because of the connection you can share with other people around that passion, and that it's something that, almost everybody can get into or find some portion of it that they like, because it's such a wide open type thing. So once we started rolling our way, and just exploring all these different places, I remember we were way out of the country and just started, stopping at these little tiny towns, little locations. I remember like us rolling through these towns and just the feeling we had when it was just like both of our cars following each other, and you would like see people looking at the both of you and almost feel like a little famous or something, because like these cars were very rare and you almost never see them, especially in a small town. A 300ZX and an MR2 across the country with Minnesota plates is just not heard of. Everyone was super friendly on our journey, and we started staying in some hotels every night. So once we got to Oklahoma, that was one of my most fun experiences of the trip. Actually, we stayed with his family, and that was the first time I'd ever been to Oklahoma. I was really interested in going because my grandpa is actually from there, and it was kind of surreal. Like, it looked so beautiful. I actually really liked the place. We stayed for a couple of days. We went on a hike in the woods. There was like actually some really beautiful water next to all these farms and everything. It seemed so simple, but it was just like kind of a way to get away and have some fun. His family was great, and we thanked him very much for hosting us. So then we kept on our journey. The next day, actually, after we left Oklahoma, we were going through Texas, and my AC decided to quit working on the 300ZX when it was like 105 degrees out. It's just burning. We're in the top handle of Texas on Route 66, and I'm melting in that car. I can barely handle it. So I stopped off at a Walmart. I got a recharge kit. It didn't fit the car, so I returned it, and then I had to figure out what was going on. It was actually a hose on the inside that was leaking water onto the floorboard, and there's basically a wooden plate that's over the ECU that was getting wet, and that's actually why I had to turn the AC off. So it was still functioning, but I had to turn it off so that it didn't destroy the ECU. So I actually laid down and took off all the interior panels in the passenger side, and I decided to try to reroute that, and then I pushed it the direction it was supposed to go, so it wasn't pouring out onto that wood anymore. And I finally had AC again after, halfway through that day of just melting and being literally wet with sweat. So I think we stayed at probably one more hotel. Hard to remember. It was a long time ago. But then we went all the way to Arizona. We drove through some hills on our way there, which were actually really beautiful with trees. And there's a whole road that like goes down the side of Arizona leading into the valley. And it's just actually really gorgeous with all these like pine trees and things like that. So we got there late at night. We show up at my mom's house, and we, hop in, we crash. The next day, actually, once we were there, we started driving around, and it's basically all we did for the next couple of weeks is just drive up and down and back and forth on every road and everywhere we could get to find good roads to drive on and people to meet and car events. So that leads me into one of my actual favorite car events here in Arizona is the PAVs. I just made a YouTube video on it, and it is basically a car meet that's been going on every weekend for the past like 50 years. Lots of people bring up their cars halfway through the day. It's mostly oldies and muscle cars, and then as you get into the evenings, a lot more imports show up. It's still just a great community for everybody, and they play music, so I love to go and just chat with people, meet new people, ask about their builds, ask about the cars that are there, how they got into the car that they have, and like what they like about certain pieces of the car culture. I think that's my favorite part about car culture, is that there are so many different cars and different ways to enjoy it that like I can see so many different perspectives and so many people. So, I mean, I think that's it for this episode. That was just a little, little highlight of one of my favorite road trips that I've had. If you could, tell me about one of your favorite road trips, that'd be awesome. I thank you for listening. If you could like, subscribe, leave a review, follow on social media, maybe check me out on YouTube and see some videos. And then, leave a comment about one of your favorite road trips and why, and one of your favorite cars too. So this is Seth, and we'll see you in the next one.